Hi, everybody. Tom Cody with Top 20 Training. We're here in this next few minutes of your time. Hopefully, you'll devote to hearing a little bit about what Mr. Darrin and Mr. Tom have put together as far as stay in your lane, a culture piece for schools, a whole thing around taking control over what we can control. We have just gone through a very difficult couple years in school, whether you're in New York City or you're in Honolulu. This has been a rough time for American education. We think that it all starts with you, and we want to present something. This is a 90-minute deal. It could be a 45-minute deal, but you're going to see the short cliff notes, spark notes on this right now. So here we go. Mr. Darrin.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I am Dr. Darrin Peppard, 26-year veteran administrator. What you really need to know, I'm a recovering high school principal. There's some things I miss, things I don't miss, but definitely I miss most importantly all the relationship building and the things that go into building school culture. Each and every one of us as an individual is responsible for our culture. And we have this image on the screen of this long straight road, and it represents that sprint that is our school year, that drag race that is each and every school year. And what Tom and I want to do is provide for you some tools for your staff to make your way successfully through that school year, staying away from negativity, staying away from blame, and being focused on the positives and things that you can control. So we want you to stay in your lane in all the right ways, in all the positive ways, because school culture does start with you. Like we said, it's like a sprint or a drag race. It could be going from one part of the country to another. But either way, what we're doing is we're making our way through that long school year. And, it's a road trip. And very often with that road trip, we need to put together a plan. We need to think about exactly what we're going to do to make our way from point A to point B. It's your plan, your trip. You get to put it all together. We're going to help you with this session. Think about all the different elements that go into it. Where are you stopping for gas? What's on your playlist? Who's riding shotgun? Who's in the back seat of the car? And I think that's a good place, Tom, for us to start when we talk about who's in the back seat of the car. I mean, hey, we're in education, right? That's who's in the back seat of the car. This is what it's all about, is working with kids.
Yeah, like who's in the back seat? Remember, it's the students, whether they're pre-K, third graders, sixth graders, 10th graders, seniors, whatever. We got to think about the end user here. Our presentation is geared towards staff, educators, faculty, but really we're hoping that this benefits mostly the end user, which is to develop the human development of kids, make them happy and healthy and more effective. This is all about who's in the back seat. But we got to be careful about what's going on in the front seat, because we can't get these kids to where we want to go unless we take care of the adults.
100%. So we got to think about what we're packing. That's another one of those things. What is it that we're taking with us as we make our way through the year? Tom, share with them some of the things that they're going to be packing on this road trip.
Yeah, and these tools and strategies we're going to share with you. Again, we're not going to give you the whole deal right now, but let's give you a couple examples. First, let's think about what's going to happen when you get to some rough road. Advance. Here we go. The rough road ahead is the what you're going to face. These conditions you're facing are unprecedented in American education. You have been dealing with vaccinations and masks and hybrid schedule and distance schedule. Your teachers have gone through very, very rough road. Remember, teaching is very difficult under the best conditions. These have not been ideal conditions. And so what's happened is we have taken a run at some real problems with blame, with putting everything on somebody else. Darrin, you'd like to say the two words, if only.
Absolutely. Yeah. You talk about blame, and I know you've said it a few times, and folks, you'll definitely hear Tom talk about this, that blame is probably the second pandemic going on currently in our country. And it just keeps coming back to this, if only, if only. As a classroom teacher, I can sit back and I can say, man, if only my principal would do this. If only the parents would send the kids to school, having eaten breakfast every day. If
Yep.
only my students would do their homework. If only, if only, if only. Folks, you got to let go of that and just focus on you, because you focus on the if onlys and you're just buying right into all the things that is right there on this rough road.
Look at the next slide. Here's the example we like to use. This guy's job is to paint white lines. Well, if only somebody would have moved the branch. See, once in a while, you may have to step up above and beyond. We want teachers to understand that once in a while, you're a branch mover. You're not just a white line painter. And you can talk all day about who didn't move the branch, or we can get comfortable with taking responsibility for once in a while, we got to move a branch. I'm not talking about moving every branch. But once in a while, we got to get away from the blame game. We got to get away from if only. Next slide, please. And we got to shovel both sides of the duplex here. I hope you got snow where you're sitting, because you'll understand this picture. If only the other guy would do his part. Once in a while, I think it's just as easy to shovel the whole steps as it would be to do half. I think this picture demonstrates where we're at right now as a society, not just as an educational society, but we're all waiting for somebody else to come in. We'll only do our part. And then we go to blame. This ball is a definition of my power to make a difference in my life. When I blame Pep for something I'm not getting and I wait for him to fix it, I pass the ball to him. I now am powerless. I have no chance to make a positive difference in my life. Blame is one of the biggest pandemics in this country right now. So that's the first part, is we want to just get real clear that we got to stay in our lane and control what we can control. Because it's also important, next slide, please, who's riding with you? Who's with you in this car? You got to bring a trusted friend, a trusted peer. You got to find somebody, teachers out there, who can listen to you, understand you, hear you vent. Thelma had Louise in the famous movie. They rode shotgun together. They supported each other. They had each other's backs until they went off the cliff. A spoiler alert.
Well, they still had each other's back at
They
that
had
point
each
in
other's
time,
backs.
but
The key is,
they did. It just came
key
to a
is,
sudden, abrupt end.
yeah, 98% of that jump off the cliff was fine. It was just the last 2% that was problematic.
That's right.
Hey, panda bears, look at this. Panda bears, who's riding shotgun with you? Somebody in your life has to help you succeed. You got to have the attitude of taking care of the person next to you. Panda bears in this picture demonstrate exactly what we're talking about. Help others succeed. Maintenance worker at your school is supposed to help others succeed. Principal is supposed to help others succeed. My job is help Darrin succeed when we're working together. If that's job one, then job 2, 3, and 4 take care of themselves. We've got to hire people like this in our schools who are not going to stand around and wait for somebody else to move the branch. We're going to step in and help people. Maybe bring jumper cables when their cars are dead. Maybe you float somebody $20 at lunch. Maybe you just cover a class for somebody. But think right now, everybody think. Everybody out there has had somebody in their life, especially during the pandemic, who has helped you succeed. Next slide. Everybody here has had somebody you're thinking of. Who's yours? Think right now. Have you been grateful to this person? Have you thanked this person? There have been people that have supported you, especially during this virus pandemic. There have been people that have supported you as an educator. We really want you to take some time, express some gratitude to those people. Who is your panda bear? And the other flip side of this is, who are you helping? Are you doing your job
Absolutely.
as bottom bear? If you're a 7th grade teacher, you may have to help a 6th grader with math, even though they're not your kids. Stay in your lane, control what you control. Stop waiting for everybody else to do it for you. Find a friend.
And think a lot about, those new people in your building. We hear so much about this massive concern, and it's very, very legitimate, but this massive concern over teacher shortages and people leaving the profession. You've got people in your building right now who are brand new in your building. They need a panda bear. They need that supportive panda to lift them up, to keep them in the profession. They don't have some of those great stories that you have if you're in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, those experiences that you're making a difference. Those early career folks, early career leaders, early career teachers, whatever the case may be, folks, we really got to be lifting those folks up You don't have to lift them all. Pick one and go reach a hand down and lift them up because you know they're going to be struggling without question.
Here's the problem is the playlist. Everybody on a road trip, you want to know what you're listening to. Well, there's two choices on our little metaphor of this car ride. One is the negative, one is the positive. I'm a little bit typecast. I'll do the negative here because this is how I used to roll. Darrin will then present us with more of a positive playlist to listen to. But the key is right now in America, we're listening to a lot of negativity. If you turn on television, you'll see tons of negative in our comedy, in our sports. It's just not a great setup out there for our culture, and so it's easy to get sucked into negativity. One of those things I call it is a tornado. What happens is three people go crazy. We call it below the line, and their brain stops working, and so they get going. And the playlist a lot of people listen to is the three people in the faculty room complaining about too many kids in their class. We don't have the right textbook. We had a special schedule. The Xerox machine is jammed, blah, blah, blah. And one person throws this energy at another. He shares it back with her. Suddenly, this whoosh, whoosh starts with the tornado. And then take a look at this picture. Darrin just described this new teacher who's all excited because he got hired. He's got dental insurance. And the three people below the line tend to bring the negative playlist to this table and start telling this guy what a rotten job he picked and that the dental insurance is worthless because of the copay and blah, 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 blah. This is a national problem in education because the people that we're bringing into the field have to be able to find positive people to tell them what a great, important, vital job this is as an educator. And yeah, there's some crap that comes along with teaching. We'll own that. You don't want to listen to bloodborne pathogen lady every year, but you do. There's some negativity in education. But we got the greatest job in the world. And by the way, you signed up for this. You signed up to be a teacher. So guess what? The Xerox machine is going to jam once in a while. So we got to get rid of the idea that these three people can pull me down because remember, the end user is the kids. And if we get pulled down, we dump that energy right on the students.
And so the key is, again, stay in your lane. You know, this whole metaphor of being in a car and being on a road trip, folks, you just think about that for a second. Put yourself behind the wheel of your car and think about all the things that are on the road that you can't control. I can't control the semi trucks when I'm rolling down I-80 that, you know, pass each other, one going 1/10 of a mile an hour faster than the other one, and it takes forever for it to happen. I have no control over that. And being angry behind the wheel is not going to help anything change. We have to focus on the one thing we can control. And folks, that's ourselves. All right. We think about how we show up. We talked about if only, we talked about blame and how those things are so counterproductive for us. Here's the thing. Stay focused on how am I going to show up each and every day? I have that choice every single morning. When I get out of bed, when my feet hit the floor, I get to decide. Am I going to bring positive energy? Am I going to make a positive difference in the life of kids? Or am I going to be one of those three in the faculty room creating that tornado of negativity that just sucks the life out of everybody around me? Hey, misery is a choice, folks. And how I show up is a choice. We decide what are we going to do.
The positive playlist comes from Darrin. Darrin was the discipline guy back in the day. Darrin had two roads. Look at this picture. There are two roads. His school was unbelievable at catching kids doing what was wrong. Right, Pep? You were really good at
Absolutely.
it. You were hiding in the bathroom, and you're good at catching kids with the cell phone. And that's one way to go. That negative playlist is one way to go with kids. Tell them your story.
Absolutely. In a condensed version, Tom hit it really well. My first role as an assistant principal was in charge of discipline and attendance, which obviously is a thankless job. And for the most part, your job is to go catch people doing things wrong. And that's just not who I am. And fortunately, there was a moment that changed it all. And it was a moment that really created two roads in front of me. When the road to awesome was born, simple two questions that were asked in a staff meeting. You guys have all sat in this staff meeting, right? Where you're trying to solve like the two most important issues in education. What are you going to do about hats? And what are you going to do about cell phones? I mean, you should be laughing right now. Honestly, you should be crying because those meetings will still be happening. If you're watching this at the beginning of your school year, you probably will have that meeting at the beginning of your school year. Folks, it's a waste of time. That is not where we need to be putting our energies. But this particular staff meeting, what are we going to do about hats and cell phones? Finally, somebody raised a hand and said, Darrin, why does it always have to be about what they do wrong? Why can't it be about what they do right? And these two roads represent that. Maybe it's the road to the left. The easier path is let's find the things they're doing wrong. Holy cow, everybody can find things that are wrong right now. But let's focus on the things that people are doing right. That's how we stay in our lane. That's how we focus on and take control of our school culture. It starts with me. If I'm a classroom teacher, I take control of the culture that's in my classroom, and I'm going to start by focusing on the things they do right. Let me give you a little tip on this, and I'll use a quick analogy for you. Next time you're in your car, start looking around. Start counting the red cars. You're going to find red cars everywhere. And the reason is because you're looking for them. Same thing is true of looking for negative, looking for positive. You want to listen to that positive playlist? You start looking for positives. That really is what it's all about, folks. If you can do that, that's a great beginning to your journey of staying in your lane.
And that's a great place for us to finish this short intro video. We got a bunch more. We tell a bunch more stories. If you want to contact us, I think you have our contact info in this email. Get a hold of us. We're ready to travel. Don't wait too long. I'm 70 years old. I don't want to come to your school with my walker, coming down the hall. So call us soon. We'd love to visit on a Zoom with you, your admin, whoever, your PD committee. We want to make this happen for your teachers. They deserve something like this after the 2 years they've gone through. Bye from Tom.
And bye from Darrin.